Hey guys, hospitals are supposed to be places of healing, places where life begins and sometimes where it ends. But what happens after hours? When the patients are asleep, the halls are empty, and you're the only one left? The people in these stories found out. Tonight, we're talking about 3 true horror stories set in medical facilities, places where the line between the living and the dead gets a little blurry. Let's get into it. The 4th floor. I've worked in hospitals for over a decade, started as a transporter, moved up over the years. You get used to the sounds, the smells, the way death lingers in certain rooms. It becomes normal. But there's one night I'll never forget. We were in the process of moving from the old city hospital into a new facility. The old building was built in the 1930s. By the time we left, it was falling apart. Creaky floors, flickering lights, hallways that seemed to go on forever in the dark. The east wing of the 4th floor was the first to be shut down. About 2 weeks before the move, they cleared it out. Empty rooms, no patients, no staff, just dust and silence. One night, around 9:30, I was up on the 4th floor to get a patient from the west wing. The west wing was still operating, still had patients and nurses and life. The east wing sat dark behind a set of double doors. When I stepped off the elevator, I saw a small group of nurses and aides huddled together near the nurses' station. They all used to work in the east wing before it closed, and they looked shaken, visibly shaken. I walked over, asked if everything was okay. One of them told me what happened. They'd decided to walk through their old wing, just for nostalgia, see the place one last time before the move. They pushed open the double doors and walked into the darkness. That's when the phone started ringing. The nurse's station phone, in an empty wing. The computers and phones hadn't been moved yet. They were still there, sitting on empty desks in an abandoned hallway. One of the nurses, I don't know why, reached over and answered it. She said there was a woman's voice on the other end. Confused. Lost. The woman said, "Where am I?" She answered, "I'm a nurse. Is there anything I can help you with?" The nurse holding the phone asked if she was a patient, asked where she was calling from. The woman just kept repeating, "Where am I? Where am I?" And then the line went dead. The nurse finally looked at the phone's display. The screen showed the room number where the call was coming from. It was the room directly across from the nurse's station, a room they could see from where they were standing, a room that was completely empty, no furniture, no phone, no patient. They looked through the window into that dark room. Nothing. And then they ran. They told me all of this while standing in the west wing, refusing to go back through those doors. I listened, nodded, told myself there had to be an explanation. But I avoided that wing for the rest of my time there. The new hospital is beautiful, state-of-the-art, no creepy hallways, no abandoned floors. But sometimes, late at night, when I'm walking through the empty corridors, I think about that phone call, about that confused woman's voice, about the room number that shouldn't have existed, and I wonder if she's still there, still wandering those empty halls, still picking up phones that haven't rung in decades, still asking the same question over and over. Where am I? Where am I? I hope she finds her answer someday. I really do. The morgue elevator. I've worked maintenance at St. Catherine's Hospital for 12 years. It's not glamorous work, fixing lights, unclogging toilets, patching walls, but it pays the bills, and after a while, you stop noticing the smells and the sounds, and the way certain rooms feel colder than they should. The hospital has 9 floors, patients on most of them, cafeteria in the basement, along with engineering, storage, and the morgue. The morgue elevator is the one that connects the basement to the loading dock. Service elevator, old as the building itself, big enough for a gurney, barely. Most staff avoid it, even during the day. There's something about that elevator that feels wrong. The way it creaks, the way the lights flicker, the way it sometimes stops on floors where no one pressed a button. I never paid much attention. Elevators are elevators. Old buildings have quirks. That changed about 6 months ago. I was doing my regular evening rounds around 11 p.m. Hospital was quiet, shift change happening, most patients asleep. I got a call from security about a light out in the basement hallway near the morgue. Standard stuff. grab a ladder, replace the bulb, move on. I took the morgue elevator down because it was closest, stepped inside, pressed B, felt the old machine groan to life. The elevator stopped on 3, not with a smooth deceleration, it just stopped, hard, like someone had hit the emergency brake. The doors didn't open, just sat there, closed, with me trapped inside. I waited a few seconds. Nothing. Pressed the door open button. Nothing. Pressed B again. Nothing. Then the lights went out. Not flickered. Out. Complete darkness. I stood there for a moment, heart starting to pick up, telling myself it was just a power glitch. Old building. Happens. Then I heard it, a sound from above me, on the roof of the elevator car, scraping, slow, deliberate, like something dragging itself across the metal. I froze, stared up into the darkness, unable to see anything, unable to move. The scraping stopped, then something knocked on the roof. 3 times. Slow, deliberate, like it wanted me to know it was there. I don't know how long I stood there. Seconds, minutes. Time didn't exist. I just stared up at that dark ceiling, waiting for whatever it was to come through. The lights flickered back on. The elevator started moving, down to B, like nothing had happened. Doors opened onto the empty basement hallway. I stepped out, didn't look back, changed that light bulb with shaking hands, and took the stairs back up for the rest of my shift. I told myself it was just my imagination. Stress, lack of sleep. Old elevators make weird sounds, happens all the time. But I couldn't shake that feeling. The way those knocks sounded, like something was testing the metal, testing how strong it was. I started taking the stairs after that. Every time. Added 10 minutes to my rounds, didn't care. I just couldn't get back in that elevator. About a month later, I was talking to one of the older nurses, been at St. Catherine's for 30 years, knew the building better than anyone. I mentioned the elevator, just casually, said it gave me the creeps. She got this look on her face. Not quite fear, something else. Recognition. She said,
"You ever hear the knocking?"
I didn't answer, just looked at her. She nodded, said,
"We all have, the ones who've been here long enough. Something happened in that elevator."
I asked, what happened? She said,
20 years ago, a young woman died in the morgue, Jane Doe, no identification. They kept her down there for weeks, trying to figure out who she was. No one ever claimed her. Eventually, they buried her in a pauper's grave.
She paused, looked around like she was checking for eavesdroppers.
But before that, before they took her away, there was a problem. A night shift worker, new guy, was transporting a body to the morgue. He got in that elevator with the gurney, pressed B, and the elevator stopped on 4. Doors opened, and there she was, standing in the hallway, the Jane Doe, dressed in the gown they'd put on her, just standing there, looking at him.
I asked, what happened next? She said,
He passed out. They found him in the elevator an hour later, alone, with the gurney still inside. He quit the next day, never came back, said he'd rather be homeless than ever step foot in that building again.
I didn't sleep well that night. I still work at St. Catherine's, can't afford not to, but I never, ever take that elevator. Last week, I was walking past it around 2 a.m. The doors were open, empty, just sitting there, waiting. I glanced inside before walking past, and on the floor, right in the center, there was a wet footprint, barefoot, small, like a woman's foot. It was still fresh. I didn't stop to look closer, just kept walking. Fast. I don't know if the Jane Doe is still down there. I don't know if she's the one knocking. I don't know if she's looking for a way out or looking for someone to keep her company, but I know that elevator opens on floors where no one presses the button. And I know that sometimes when the doors slide open, there's someone standing there, waiting. The ward that wasn't there. I've been a nurse for 11 years. Most of that time at Memorial, a big teaching hospital in the city. You learn the layout fast when you work nights. Every hallway, every stairwell, every shortcut. After a while, you could walk through the place blindfolded. That's why what happened still bothers me so much. It started about 3 months ago. I was working the overnight shift, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., long shift, but I'd done it 1,000 times. Around 3 a.m., things get quiet. Patients are asleep. Families are gone. The only sounds are the machines and the occasional page over the intercom. I was on the 5th floor, checking on a patient when I realized I needed more supplies from the storage room. Standard run. Down the hall, take a left, second door on the right. I'd done it 100 times. I turned left and kept walking, past the nurse's station, past the waiting area, past the vending machines. The hallway kept going, longer than it should have been. I kept walking, waiting for the second door on the right. It didn't come. I stopped, looked around. Everything looked normal. Same floor tiles, same walls, same fluorescent lights. But the doors were wrong. The numbers were wrong. I was seeing numbers that didn't exist on the 5th floor. Room 512, 514, 516. The 5th floor only goes up to 510. I stood there for a long moment, trying to figure out where I was. I hadn't taken any turns. I hadn't gone through any doors. I just walked down a hallway I'd walked 1,000 times, and suddenly, I was somewhere else. I turned around to go back. The hallway behind me stretched into darkness. The nurse's station was gone. The waiting area was gone. Just hallway and doors and silence. I started walking. Fast at first, then jogging. The doors blurred past. 518, 520, 522. Numbers climbing, numbers that shouldn't exist. I ran. I don't know how long I ran. Long enough that my legs burned, long enough that I started to panic. The hallway never ended, just doors and lights and that same stretch of floor, repeating over and over. Then I saw a door that was open, not like the others, not just cracked. Open wide, light spilling out into the hallway. I stopped, stared at it. My heart was pounding so hard, I could feel it in my throat. I walked toward it, slow, careful, peered inside. It was a patient room, normal room, bed, monitors, chair, window. But the window wasn't looking out at the city. It was looking out at the hallway I'd just come from, like the room was a mirror, reflecting everything back at itself. And in the bed, there was a person, an old man, pale, thin, eyes closed, machines beeping around him, monitoring a life that barely seemed to be there. I stepped closer, looked at his face. It was me. I was looking at myself, lying in that bed, hooked up to machines, dying. I stumbled backward, tripped over something, hit the floor hard, scrambled to my feet and ran. Didn't look back, just ran down that endless hallway, past door after door until I couldn't run anymore. And then, suddenly, I was back. The nurse's station, the waiting area, the vending machines, room 508, 509, 510. I stood there gasping, leaning against the wall, trying to breathe. A nurse walked past, asked if I was okay. I nodded, said I was fine, just dizzy. She didn't look convinced, but she let it go. I finished my shift, went home, tried to forget. But I couldn't forget that face. My face. Lying in that bed, eyes closed, machines beeping. I started asking around, quietly. Did anyone know about a ward on the 5th floor with rooms above 510? Did anyone ever feel like they'd walked somewhere that shouldn't exist? Most people just looked at me weird, told me to get more sleep. But one old janitor, been at Memorial for 40 years, pulled me aside. He said,
"You found it, didn't you? The ward that wasn't there?"
I asked what he meant. He said,
"There used to be a 6th floor, burned down in the 70s, killed a dozen patients, 2 nurses. They rebuilt, but they never reopened that floor. Sealed it off, but sometimes people wander in anyway. They walk through a door that should lead somewhere else and end up there, in the old ward, in the past."
I asked about the room, the one with the bed, the one with me in it. He shook his head.
"I don't know about that, but I know people who've seen things up there, things they can't explain." Some of them quit. Some of them changed.
I haven't been back to the 5th floor since that night. I transferred to a different unit, different building. I tell myself it was just a dream, just exhaustion, just my mind playing tricks. But sometimes, late at night, when I'm walking through the new building and the hallways are empty, I think about that room, that bed, that face. And I wonder if I'm still there, still lying in that bed, hooked up to those machines, dying. And I wonder if the me walking through these hallways is the real one, or the ghost. Three stories, 3 medical workers. One question for you. Which one scared you the most? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more true horror from places you thought you knew, hit that follow button, because the scariest stories aren't always in haunted houses. Sometimes they're right where we go to get better. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.